Today and across the fence, the holiday parties are just around the corner. We've called on an expert chef who's going to share some simple and healthy holiday treats. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. There are a lot of food temptations during the holiday season. It's a wonderful time of year to try some new recipes as well as share some old favorites, but in always moderation. With me this afternoon is Curtis Hemm. Curtis is the former Dean of Culinary Arts at New England Culinary Institute and the founder of Pink Ribbon Cooking. It's great to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for those of our viewers who aren't familiar, can you give us a little bit of background on Pink Ribbon Cooking?
Sure. So my wife is almost a 9-year breast cancer survivor. So we started a company that really dealt with bridging the gap between a dietitian and what someone puts into practice in their home. And so we share healthy recipes. We have a membership site. We have iPad app, books, things like that. But we really teach people how to make simple, healthy food. And as an educator of culinary arts, it's kind of my specialty is to take something that might seem very complex for somebody and to actually, break it down to its components and make it very accessible.
And I've tried some of your recipes. They are very easy and delicious.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And so, today you're going to demonstrate a holiday recipe for us. There are a lot of temptations during the holidays, a lot of pitfalls too, because you're not necessarily aware of what you're eating.
Sure, and you're also in a festive mood. So when you're festive, you tend to consume a little bit more. But there are some pitfalls, and I think we have to really recognize that you go into these events, and you have to have somewhat of a strategy in terms of how to deal with them. We've got a couple very simple points. And it's really, try not to drink your calories. That's a very successful one. And certainly a libation, I really like to sit down at night and have a glass of wine. But a glass of wine is not a mason jar of wine. This is about a glass of wine, about 5 ounces. And there is a strong connection between alcohol consumption and cancer risk too. But we're not just talking about cancer risk. I mean, it's an empty calorie. It does nothing for your body. It doesn't provide you with nutrients. So we're trying to teach people is, if you're going to go do that, plan for those calories, especially if you're on a weight loss kick or you're just trying to maintain weight. But at the same point, try to consume something that's beneficial for you. And the other component we have is, try to choose foods with balance. And then in really looking at the array. So if you choose foods that are in a natural state, you get more antioxidants, you get more nutrients. Than you would if, say, you just had a slice of cheese. And surprisingly, and I'll just show you with a cucumber, this little piece here, if this was brie, that's 100 calories. Wow. And this is...
You could have the whole cucumber for that.
You could have 2 cucumbers for 100 calories. You could have an entire head of romaine lettuce for 100 calories. And you get some other beneficial aspects to that. There's some antioxidants and whatnot. So, but that's the piece that we think of. And if we go to a party, it'd be nothing to have 5 or 6 of these. Right. And that's 600-700 calories, and depending on what they're on, and what they're served with.
It just adds up.
Right. And then, there are some things that are a friend. Mustard is a great condiment. It's very low in calories. It's actually pretty decent flavor-wise, too. Yes. But you just want to be aware of what you're doing. Some of the other components are just be a designated driver. Again, think about how you're going to plan that night, and also plan ahead. I mean, you want to go to a party. You don't want to be saying, I can only have 1 piece of brie, and I can only do this. That's ridiculous. No one's going to do that. But plan ahead. So maybe you're going to go out. You're going to have 1,000 calories. Maybe you go light for breakfast. Maybe you have a salad for lunch. So you know that you can have those options later on in the day. Right. Or even the next day. Absolutely. Yep.
And also too, exercise is important.
100%. And there's I've done a lot of work with the Vermont Cancer Center, especially Dr. Kim did us, and there's just a strong connection between, exercise and health. And we can't get away from that. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to accept, is that you have to put that into time. And I struggle with that immensely, finding the half hour, whatever it is. I mean, thank goodness I got a puppy and who makes me walk every day now. But without him, I would be sitting there working. I would go back to my type A workaholic personality.
And you say too that host your own party. Then you have total control over what food is there.
Absolutely, and that's one thing that we're talking about today is, when you go to somebody else's party, you don't comment and say, oh, I can't have this because, it's not on my diet. You want to be social and you want to be, have some etiquette.
I go and I say, I want to have one of those and one of those.
Exactly, but when you host it, you control everything. And so what that really does is allows you to kind of choose the calories that you want to have on the spread. So, today, as an example, we're going to use steelhead trout. Well, Seafood Watch, the Monterey Aquarium, which is the guiding principle of ethical seafood that we can eat, this is the best choice. And it's the best choice for a lot of different reasons. It's the best choice because it's a lean protein. It's the best choice because it has very low contaminants, very low mercury level, very low PCPs. It's ethically harvested. It has a low pen density. So it is a farm fish, but it has a low pen density, which means that there aren't a ton of animals in the same pen, so they're bruising and battering each other.
Yeah.
And it tastes great, and it's very similar to salmon, but it doesn't have that odor. So I was just explaining earlier, when you cook it, your house doesn't smell like salmon. It has really no odor, and it has a wonderful flavor, and it's moist, and it has a beautiful presentation, which we're going to show a couple different ways today.
Okay, well, it wouldn't occur to me to serve this, but I want to learn new things, and I want to, you know.
It is, and I think a lot of people, they don't, because it's called steelhead. Steelhead is rainbow trout. Okay, but you know, it's if you think about having trout. Even trout, though, I think is foreign to a lot of people nowadays.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Trout. When I was cutting my teeth in the kitchens, trout almondine was a very popular dish, which kind of dates me, which is horrible to say that. But it was very common, and then it's kind of gone to the wayside for more tropical fish. You know, there was mahi movement. There's tuna. There's swordfish and things like that. Well, I happen to like this one a lot because it's very accessible. You can purchase it frozen because it's farmed. It has a very high quality. Takes 1 day to thaw. You lose no cell structure in it when you thaw it. It's flash frozen, so it's very well preserved in your home environment, and it's actually really affordable. It's about $6.99 a pound. And that's £1.5 pounds, and then the fillet that we have over here, which we're going to flake up for the rillette, is about 2.5 pounds.
Terrific. Well, let's take a look at some demonstrations.
Sure. So the first thing I want to do is we're actually going to take one dish and then we're going to move it through 2 other dishes. So we want to show something in a buffet style, because this is something that you could do for Thanksgiving. It's also something that you could spread out into the holiday season, into Christmas, and then certainly on New Year's. So depending on the style of entertaining you do, it really kind of dictates what you do with it. So we're going to show one as a buffet platter, which is this one right here. Then we're going to plate it up in a more artistic presentation. And then we're going to have something very rustic. We're going to use an old canning jar. And we're going to have some potted fish, which is a lot of people are more comfortable with that. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to make my vinaigrette. So I've got here some extra virgin olive oil. This is a California olive oil, so I actually know it's olive oil and it's not, you know, subject to any fraudulent activities, because that's something you have to consider with olive oil nowadays. So in there I've got some Dijon mustard. Depending on where I cut that, I actually got it without the seed, but to be safe, I'm going to squeeze in some lemon.
Very good.
And we'll go ahead and put that there. Little pepper. That's a little to me. And then I use sea salt here, and sea salt is a really coarse salt. If you wanted something quick, if you're going to use this right away, I'd use a kosher salt because it's a compressed salt, so it dissolves quickly. But I really like the salinity that sea salt offers. And it's a little bit better for you. It's 100% natural. And then if you just want to shake that up,
I can do that.
I'll move forward on some stuff, and it should get, you know, nice and homogenized and smooth. And I should have said we also have a choice between mustards. We've got 2 mustards here. We've got a Dijon mustard, and then we've got a whole seed mustard. Both Dijon, but one's strained and one's not.
Which do you prefer? Do you have a preference?
It depends on the dish. For dressing, I prefer the regular Dijon, but for the rillette, we're actually going to use the whole grain, so there's some texture involved with that.
Okay.
So once that's shaken up, we'll just take a little bit of dill. If you want to take the top off of that really quick. You can take your time doing that. You don't have to do it that fast. And my son likes it when I go into a school and I do this because it's very impressive. If you just want to give that a shake again. You get your exercise too, so you get to shake the jar and do the mambo.
Hook this up to a bike.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so we got our dressing, and then over here we've got a couple things. If we want to just spread some onions out on this platter here.
Okay.
These red onions are really, really strong. And then some cornichons. So what I like here is I roasted this with extra virgin olive oil, salt, and pepper. Nothing else. I did it at 425 and it takes 10 minutes.
That's it.
That's it. And then you just let it cool to room temperature, and then you put it in the cooler. You can serve it right at room temperature. And then just a couple cornichons around. And then we just take our dressing, and you go right over the top. And then that seeps down into the cucumbers. And that's pretty much
That couldn't be easier.
No, it really is simple. And again, you know, the whole idea is if you're going to host a party, don't do what I've always done and kind of spend your whole day in the kitchen.
Well, that's the problem I have.
Yeah, and so you've kind of learned over time, you know, to just kind of, you know, do something that's easy. Now you set this out, this serves 10 people as an appetizer, and it just couldn't get easier. The next thing we want to do, though, is you want to take this one, and I actually want to make the rillette. So this still has the skin on it. Whoops.
That's why we have more than one spoon?
That's why I always bring more than one spoon. This still has the skin on it. It was roasted on the pan.
Okay.
And all I'm doing is I'm taking a large fork and I'm holding my hands, the utensils, and we're just going to come across and we're going to drag this across. The reason I have the second utensil is to scrape off the fork.
Okay. That separates really easily.
It's a wonderful flake on the fish, and the beauty of this is you don't want this to be like a paste.
Right.
You know, I mean, it can certainly get that way when you mix it, but it flakes so easily.
Realize it's fish.
Yeah. And if you want to grab that bowl.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We will. With the parchment paper, it's beautiful because I can grab the skin and I can come right up.
Done.
Done. Now, this in and of itself is easy. A little extra virgin olive oil. And again, this is a lot of servings. It's not like this is, you know, someone's dinner by itself. Some black pepper. The whole grain mustard. I like a lot of mustard in this. A rillette is a potted meat, classically in France, has its own fat. Usually it's made out of pork, sometimes rabbit. We're going to do a little red onion. Again, that's a little for me. I like the flavor combinations here. This is diced cucumber. And what this does, it gives a lot of texture. So this is a great way to incorporate some plants into your diet without even thinking about it. So you're actually making something healthy for your guests. Again, the salt. And what we'll do now is we'll just kind of bring that together. And so it's got a lot of great color to it.
It does. It's beautiful.
Already. And that fish is just, it's beautiful in that way. And what we'll do here is we'll just take a little bit of dill, and I'm just going to shave it off the bunch. And you can see that this is organic dill. Definitely herbs are something I would buy organic whenever possible.
Worth the extra money?
Worth the extra money. Actually, those are cheaper than conventional herbs.
Oh, no kidding.
Which is great. And so we've got a little freshness there. We've got a little lemon juice. Again, you could do this through your hand if you wanted to. But this is our acid, along with the mustard. And we'll just put that aside.
Why is it important to have the acid?
It kind of cuts so the fish is lean, but there's a little fatty texture to it. And it just kind of cuts through that. If you want to hand me the mason jar, we will pot this up that way first. We'll go informal. And again, you want this to be rustic. So we can put that on the board. And then what I'll do is I'll take the cucumber here, and we'll just do some sticks really quick. Do some of various sizes. We can put those on.
Okay.
And then some cornichons if you want to go ahead and put some onions and stuff. And then the other dish we're going to do here is I'm just going to show you, I took a vegetable peeler and I peeled some cucumbers. And what I'm going to do is I salted these a little bit. And I want to bring this around. I don't know if we're showing. So this is a thin slice of cucumber. They were salted to make them flexible. I'm bringing that around, and they're viscous, so they hold together nicely.
Oh, look at that.
And what we're doing now is we're going to take our rillette, and we're just going to kind of drop it in there. A second spoon, had I not dropped that one, would have been perfect, right? But it's TV, so you move on and do what you got to do. And then we have a little bit of sour cream. And so this is a whole sour cream. There's nothing crazy about this. We're going to do about a teaspoon of sour cream, a sprig of fresh dill, and then we're going to come through in our kind of broken vinaigrette, and we're just going to pour it around.
That's beautiful.
Like so. I think we have to get some more in there, but
okay.
That's it. So it's three ways. We've got a buffet platter, we've got an informal rustic presentation, so something at the family table.
Yep.
And then we've got something a little bit more formal, and we could certainly throw some cornichons on there and dress it up any way we wanted to.
It's beautiful. How can people find out about Pink Ribbon Cooking?
So they can go to our website, pinkribbon.com. They can always give me a call, 518-335-7880. So I answer it all the time. And you know, I think the other thing that I really want to communicate is that we're super proud to really help people in treatment for a variety of different cancers, mainly breast cancer, but there's a lot of cancers, and we give away free recipes like this often.
And you should try the recipes because they're very easy and they are delicious. So Curtis, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a
Looking
pleasure.
forward to the holidays. Try a few new tricks.
Happy holidays.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.
For a video copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-ATF-3430. Across the Fence is brought to you as a public service by University of Vermont Extension and WCAX-TV.